This is my third time starting to record this video. I'm gonna back up. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sammy, and I'm gonna talk about reading and the state of the world and influencers and the likes of parasocial relationships. This is such an important topic that I don't want to mess up, and I didn't want it to feel structured like my normal videos are by outlining what I wanted to say before I sat down and said it. So I'm gonna try my best to make this cohesive and coherent, but it's coming from the heart. I'll probably edit any of the times that it doesn't feel like it's making any sense out, but this is coming from me. I don't want to be wrong with my platform. I don't want to do the wrong thing and continue on that path on accident without knowing. I care deeply about other people. I care so deeply about advocating for other people, and I am so regularly the person that advocates for people that I don't want to accidentally advocate for the wrong person. So because of where we are with this day and age and the events that are going on in the world and the events and terrible atrocities that my country is funding and so many people don't perceive as terrible atrocities, I don't feel confident putting out the normal story study videos that I do. I love them conceptually. I love what they do mechanically. I love that the point isn't necessarily to say if a book is good or bad, but the point is to say anything and everything that you read is something you can learn from and grow from as a writer and as a storyteller, as a creator. And I know that if I enjoy a book, it's going to be a different video than if I didn't enjoy the book, but they are always for the purpose of what they stand for. This is some things that I think this book did well. These are some things that I think the book could do better, and this is what I learned from it, and what I think other people could learn from it if they also read it. It's coming from a subjective stance. It's coming from me reading it as a person with my history and my personal experiences, and generally I don't take into consideration who the author is so much as I take into consideration what I'm learning from it and what other people who are at a similar stage in their writing journey as me can learn from it, because that's my perspective. That's where I'm coming from. That's what I have to offer. But I don't think that I can do that anymore because I don't want to accidentally platform a book coming from an author that does not believe that some people are entitled to a safe and happy life and healthy life in their home. I do not think that I can confidently platform any book that I have ever encountered unless somebody is explicitly saying that they are outwardly pro-Palestine or against any genocide that is happening currently, because there are multiple. Right now, my heart and my focus is pointed at Palestine because I can see it and I'm interacting with it on a daily basis, but I know that there's more going on. I know that my activism and advocacy will be pointed in another direction as soon as we get this one taken care of. But right now, I need people to be pro-Palestine. I need them to be. There's a lot of the benefit of the doubt going on with major people, like people who have a lot of eyes on them. There's a lot of benefit of the doubt going towards people that have these parasocial relationships with hundreds of thousands of people or whatever it is. I've never had a parasocial relationship. I've never, up until recently, I've had a couple with journalists in Palestine. I have so much deep care and respect for those people, and I do not think they can do any wrong, which is my first experience with a parasocial relationship. I don't believe in people generally who have a following. That's not who I am. So the fact that there are so many people out there who are giving people who are quiet, people who haven't said anything, the benefit of the doubt, or have given them the benefit of the doubt up until this point, where they're not saying anything about the things that actually matter, and they're not speaking up about anything that actually is important to the people who make them have their money. The attention economy is not feeding into those people. But I'm at a point where I can't say, oh, Taylor Swift hasn't said anything about it. I'm notably not a Taylor Swift fan. I think she's a bad person. I have no full evidence of that, but she's a billionaire, and I think all billionaires are bad people. So people giving Taylor Swift the benefit of the doubt, oh, well, she's best friends with the Hadids. They're Palestinian, so she's probably doing something behind the scenes, off the record, not in front of the curtain. I don't think she is. I don't think she is, because I think if she stood for it, she would stand for it. And I think that you can't give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I want so desperately to have the confidence in someone to give them the benefit of the doubt. But a lot of these people, I don't know. You don't know them. I don't know them. The only people who know them are the people who actually interact with them face to face, one-on-one, in like a non-platformed system. People who know them personally, who know what they stand for and what they believe, and them themselves know what they stand for and what they believe, and what their platform is capable of doing. Just to interrupt myself for a second, if you were thinking about eating out this week, or if you were thinking about buying something just for fun, if you were thinking about spending money in a way that is not necessarily a requirement, I request that you take a look at the GoFundMe link in my description. I am helping out a family in Palestine, trying to get Lama and her 2 kids out of Gaza so that they can get somewhere to safety and be safe, happy, and healthy somewhere, even if it's not in their homeland. And I would love it if you were planning to spend money this week, if you can send at least $5 to that GoFundMe. That is the minimum amount that you can submit. If you can send more, amazing. It's so impactful, and she really needs the help, and she's not getting enough donations. She's not getting donations at a pace that is like what we want. So if you can and you have the funds or the ability to do so, please hit that link and send something. If you don't, please send the link to somebody who might be able to. Feel free to post about it somewhere else. Tell your friends, tell your family. She's just a single mother with 2 kids, stuck in the most atrocious, terrible environment, and I desperately want to help them. That link is in the description. You can check it out. It's going to be the first link on there, but I will get back to talking about things that matter as well. So I haven't finished reading a book with like my eyes. I've listened to audiobooks while driving, but I don't think that counts because it was more so just to fill the space more than it was that I was engaging with and dissecting and understanding the content of the story. I haven't finished reading a book since early March, and that's super weird for me. That's super weird for me. In January, I read like 12 books, I think, and February it just started to slow down because I felt this force of I have to read a book by a Black author because it's Black History Month. I have to read a book by a Black author. I read books by Black authors. It's not like February is the only time that I'm gonna read a book by a Black author. I just felt like because I had a platform, I had to do that. And the structure that I'm in, I'm doing a lot of research with every single decision that I make, including the books that I read. So there's work that goes into picking a book. There's work that goes into picking the toothpaste that I'm gonna buy. There's work that goes into every single decision that I'm making. And I don't wanna make the wrong decision. And by putting that pressure on myself, reading hasn't really been fun. I've been in the process of reading a book that is a debut from an author that I found on TikTok. And I connected with the way that she was platforming her story, her book, before it was released. And I bought it as a pre-order, and I've never bought a pre-order book ever because I've never cared about an author like that. I didn't necessarily care about the author as a person. I cared about what they were trying to achieve, and I have respect for that journey. So I got it as a pre-order book, and it came out February 27th or something like that, towards the end of February. And as soon as I finished that book that I finished in March, I started reading it. And it is May 24th, 25th. It's the end of May right now. I don't know what date it is. Life is hard and I have not been keeping track. But I'm not even like over halfway through it. I don't know what this author stands for, and I have them on my TikTok feed. Check their bio every once in a while to see if they've got anything that stands for what I stand for. And because I don't feel confident, I don't feel like I want to continue reading this book. I'm engaged with the story. I'm interested in what's happening with the story, and I have on multiple occasions thought about like what's gonna happen next. But as soon as I pick it up, it's like I don't care. I don't know what this author stands for, and that's so hard for me to change how I read entirely. I'm changing entirely how I'm reading because I have never read from the perspective of who is the person writing it. I've never wanted to read like that. In English class in high school, when they were like, oh, well, what do you think the author meant? I was so annoyed by that concept and like the idea that the person behind it really mattered more than the content of the story, especially for classics. Like, it was probably an old white guy. Who cares? Who cares what they meant behind it? And now it's hard to have that perspective of who is the author and what do they believe? Do I want to support this author? Do I care to support this author? And I don't know. And it really puts a lot of things into perspective to know books that I have read that are not by authors that agree with my stance on things, but are from the perspective of someone siding with oppression. Someone's siding with the oppressor, and they are writing these stories of rebellion and standing up for yourself and for your people, and they side with the oppressor in the real world. I can't comprehend that. I don't understand how you can build that empathy in a fictional world, in a fantasy world, in whatever kind of world it is, and then not stand by it in the real world. And the only thing that I can think is that on paper, it's super easy. Of course, the little guy wins. It's David and the Goliath. Of course, the place that you don't expect will win because that's rewarding. That's what's fun to read. But in real life, it's hard. It's not easy, and it's not easy for the characters, but it's on paper. It's just words on a screen while you're building it, and it's so rewarding when it works out. But in real life, it's hard. It's something that has to be worked for because the oppressor is never just a guy. It's a whole system. It's a whole platform. It's a whole structure in place that has so many working pieces that just general citizens, your teenage girl who is going to change the world, who's the protagonist of your story, she doesn't know about it. She doesn't know how to find out about it. And that's how hard the real world is. So once you get to a place of privilege and you are successful and you are falling into the capitalist system and you have your things figured out, you're no longer a starving artist or whatever it is, and you can just do the fun part in real life, why would you want the system to be shifted? So yeah, you're gonna side with the oppressor. And that's just so hollow and bad to me. And I don't understand how anybody can do that, how anybody can be that. How you can go from solving these dystopian situations to supporting them in real life, in your day-to-day life. So like, even if the content of a book seems like it stands with what I stand for, even if the content of the book feels like it's something that I believe in, I can't trust it. So like, everything about reading is work now. Choosing the book that I want to read. I can't just go to my gumball machine that I made, turn the thing and say, okay, I'm going to read that book because I wanted to read that book. Now it's, if I want to read that book, I'm going to turn the thing. Is the author a person of color? Yes or no? Okay, if it's yes, there's a little bit more leeway that I give because there is a system of oppression in the publishing system. Not necessarily oppression so much as it is just there aren't as many opportunities for people of color's books to get to a certain degree. Is this a debut? Is this somebody who has social media? Am I looking into their social media? I Google their name with controversy. There's so much work that goes into if I'm going to read the book, if I'm going to get the book onto my Kindle, that it's not even like there's no dopamine in picking up a book anymore. I don't know what these people stand for. I don't know what they believe in, and I don't know if it's going to be worth reading so that I can talk about it and learn about writing from these people. I've never really understood like fandom for people. I've only had like a couple of things in my life that I've been a fan of. I don't think that I'm somebody who puts a lot of faith into other people. I don't know why that is, but I don't expect things that I'm a fan of to be long-term. Like, I will enjoy something for sure. From there, it's not like I'm a fan of this thing. There's always room for disappointment. So I decided to have a favorite author because I had this platform and I really enjoyed her books at the time. And I no longer have a favorite author because there's always room for disappointment. Earlier on in my youth, I had a favorite YouTuber and they changed. They grew as a person, and that's life. And I didn't care for how they grew, so they were no longer my favorite YouTuber. And that happened like early on in the history of having YouTubers, having people whose job was YouTube. And that's like, I got disappointed and then I stopped being people's fans. So I'm not a fan of people. I'm not a fan. I don't have favorites. And it's just so upsetting to see people that I had faith in, but like, they're not my favorite. I don't have that kind of pedestal type of interaction with them, but I do have hopes based on the things that they have done, what they've said they stand for. And I've been disappointed a lot over the last 7 months. I've been disappointed a lot by a lot of people. And I don't want to be somebody that has these parasocial relationships with other people. I don't want you watching this to feel like you have a parasocial relationship with me. I don't want you to think you know what I believe. I want you to know what I believe because I've said what I believe. And I don't want you to assume something about where I stand. I don't want to have these like, oh, this is my favorite YouTuber. I care so much about like what she's doing on a day-to-day basis. I want the content that I make to be valuable to other people, but I also have to be myself. I have to be a person who is real in front of the camera so that there is that connection. But I don't want to be your favorite. I want to be a person that you like on the internet. And I want to be able to stand for things. And I want to stand for things consistently. I don't want to accidentally platform somebody that I don't stand for. And I think that that's super difficult. That's so difficult with this like weird situation where we're in, that being okay with genocide is like a thing and people can just get away with it. And they can be successful and be platformed and be New York Times bestsellers and have that system in place for them. I don't know what to do. So I think that I'm going to be pivoting on what my content is. I've got a video filmed from that book that I finished in March. I filmed it in March. I haven't turned my computer on since then. I haven't sat down to edit since then. I haven't felt the drive or the pull to do this because I just haven't been reading. And I knew that as soon as I put out a video, I would feel like I had to continue putting out videos. Whereas if I just skipped a week and then I skipped another week and then I skipped another week, then maybe it would just not be something that was super noticeable. But I'll put out that video and then I'm not going to be platforming, I think, many authors I'm not going to be platforming big authors, I think, anymore. I may read their books, but it's not going to be in a way that I've paid for unless they are outspoken and publicly stating that they are pro-Palestine or like pro the DRC or pro-Sudan. I need them to be anti-oppression. And if they are not publicly, openly, confidently anti-oppression, I'm not going to be platforming those books. I think I'm going to be pivoting towards focusing mainly on independent authors who stand on their business and do the work themselves. Because if you're doing the work yourself, I'm likely able to find out where you stand on some situations, and probably authors of color that are writing stories about characters of color, because I think that those are stories that need to be platformed. I'm also probably going to focus on debut authors because they haven't really had the chance to be controversial. But at the same time, those situations will probably end up having some kind of reaction. If they end up being controversial, I will be taking videos down, which is just going to be a whole like thing for my channel. I am so open to having independent authors who feel like I align with what they personally align with. Reach out to me if you're an independent author and if you enjoy my platform, the way that I platform other people's books, the way that I interact and review books, and what I have stated that I stand for. If you agree with that, I am totally down to platform your book. I may not have heard of you, and that's just like a thing that happens with independent authors. So you can find my social medias in the description and reach out to me, DM me, whatever. I'm so always like, this would be a great time to market yourself. I will read your book. If you feel like you are anti-oppression and I'm anti-oppression, what a great match we've got going here. And I only want to platform books that are from people who are anti-oppression. Crazy. So I think going forward, I'm going to be doing a lot more of my own personal creative content, creating content, because I know what I stand on. And now you know what I stand on, and I'm standing on my business. So I'm hoping to like get my life together a little bit, since I haven't, and I've been very emotionally drained from the state of the world. If we're being honest, it's the state of the world. And because I've been very exhausted by that, I haven't had the creative energy to do things, but I am trying really hard to refill my cup on those situations and figure out what we're doing, you know? I'm working on DMing a D&D campaign, so I'm going to be like doing a lot of prep work, and it's a very story heavy world that I've built that It's not like, oh, we're just gonna fight some things and then move on. There's some content there, and I think that's gonna be pretty cathartic, because there's not really much that I have control over in the actual world. So if I can take some of the things that are frustrating about the actual world and make them something I can be a little bit in control of, and give the players also a similar control over terrible situations, then that's on the table. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot rarer, I think, for me to do a story study video. If I have the expectation of doing a review on a book by one of my followers / like Instagram friends, bookstagram friends, because their book's gonna get released here soon, and I'm looking forward to that. But I don't know. So I would normally finish off by saying thanks for watching. I do really appreciate you watching. I don't know when I'm gonna be back. I don't know what the timeline's gonna look like. I don't know what my schedule for videos is going to be, because it's going to be more me centric. So I need the time to do the thing and then also edit and upload and all of that stuff. And my life is really busy right now for my job and my side hustle and my personal life. There's a lot going on, but I'm going to try to be back more regularly and continue to stand on business about it. I am going to finish this video off with a small little clip of my dog.